had gone down to Southern California, I was invited by one Vietnamese group. Okay, so the Vietnamese Buddhist Congregation of North America and Canada. Impressive. And so they were having a retreat. There were probably about 500 people at the retreat. I heard that was fewer than usual because there was another temple having an activity during the same time, and about 1,000 people were there. So I found out that Southern California, outside of Vietnam, is the most populous concentration of Vietnamese. Yeah, and there's even a little part of the Orange County called Little Saigon that I got to go to. But the hotel where the retreat was held was the Hilton Hotel. So it was quite nice. I never go to the Hilton, but and so I was invited to teach the English class, the English Dharma class, because they had many well-respected and learned Vietnamese masters to teach all the other classes for the Vietnamese. So my class was mostly young people, although there were a few, Caucasian and African Americans who attended the program, who joined my class. And so it was really interesting teaching the young Vietnamese kids, because, they have the same questions as Western kids do, but they also have the questions that come from growing up ethnically Buddhism and hearing the way their family talks about it, seeing the different rites and rituals that the family does. So they have those kind of questions coming from that too. But we had a very good time. And I was teaching general Buddhist worldview, and then we got into a big discussion about karma and also about ethical conduct. And then one of the nuns who was organizing the retreat wanted us to sing Star Spangled Compassion. So we all trained in doing it, But we never got to perform it at the end because that nun wasn't there, and so she didn't create at the plenary in the last session, so she didn't create a space. I think they were disappointed because we really rehearsed it quite a bit. And we got it quite good. But by the way, we need to make a new recording because that recording is very quick, and we need to do it kind of slower and clearer. But anyway, they loved it. And then one evening I was invited to teach at Vietnamese, which is another Buddhist group. They had the talk was at a big hall attached to a Vietnamese daily newspaper. It was daily or weekly, I'm not sure. But and that had about 100 people in it. My English Dharma class was much smaller, maybe 20 to 25, something like that. But this one had 100. And I talked about meditation and so on. And it was really lovely to be with the Vietnamese community. This was the first time I had actually been able to accept an invitation by a Vietnamese community. Before, I've always been busy or something else is going on. So it was very nice to do that. And in the hallway of the Hilton where we had our classes, they had pictures of some of the Vietnamese temples in the U.S. in, the most far out un-Buddhist places, in Alabama and Mississippi and places like that. And needless to say, Southern California, San Jose, and so on. And I was really impressed by what the Vietnamese immigrant community has done in the U.S. in terms of establishing Buddhism, bringing the Dharma here, and spreading it. And in the plenary session, I really encouraged more of the monastics to learn English. As I said, they've been doing a great job of spreading it to their own community, but they need to spread it beyond their own community as well, which they already have, but America really needs the Dharma. And I think in some ways the Chinese community has the same thing, and Japanese as well. They cater mostly for their own ethnic group, but they have so much to offer to the broader community when the teachers know English. And also to reach their own young people who often feel more conversant in English than in their native Asian tongue. Yeah. And then I encouraged some of the young people in the plenary session to ordain too. I had Venerable Jenny whispering in my ear, because she often does that when in talks, when people say, how can we help the Dharma grow in the West? And she says, you can ordain. And that wasn't the answer they were expecting. Yeah. But I think it was good. And some of the kids were really quite interested and really curious. It was very, very nice being with them. And then I taught at the house of one of my Dharma friends there. And it was many people who used to belong to one Tibetan center there, plus some other people. So there were about 25, 30 people, maybe 30 people, at the 2 talks I gave there. And it was amazing. The people at this talk were so diverse. I mean, it was just this amazing cross-section of America in terms of race, religion, country of origin, native language, sexual orientation, age, it was just so diverse, even in a small group of 25, 30 people. And it really made me think, this is what I especially love about this country, and what I've been watching the Democratic National Convention, and what you see when you watch it. I mean, this whole variety of different faces. And it's, that's what I really like about living here, is having all that kind of diversity. So it was really neat to be with this kind of diverse group of people all sharing the Dharma together. Yeah. And my sister and her fiancé, my sister came to 2 talks. She came one of the talks with her fiancé, who's Jewish. So again, there was another man who was Christian there. So, this was at the Vietnamese event. So even the Vietnamese event, they were welcoming all sorts of people. And my nephew came to one talk, and he reported afterwards that it was really awesome. So, for an 18-year-old football player, that was good. So yeah. So, again, just experiencing the kindness of the Asian immigrant communities in our country and how much they have enriched the country, and especially by bringing the Dharma to it. And it's interesting in the Tibetan community, the Tibetans, they will come to centers and things only on special festival days, but they won't come for teachings. And I haven't heard of a Tibetan camp like this, which would be fantastic if the Tibetans in the U.S. could do something like that, and especially get their young people involved. But they tend not to really, come for Dharma teachings as much. Yeah. Even if it's being taught by a Tibetan geshe, although they're more likely to come if it's a Tibetan than if it's a Westerner. But even then, they come mostly for celebrations. Okay, so we're learning from them, and we're carrying on the tradition in English. Yeah.